In every generation, there is a chosen one. She alone will stand against the vampires, the demons, and the forces of darkness. She is the Slayer.
To each generation, a Slayer is born.
Is in high school.
Turn up the music!
Buffy, you are the Slayer.
I think I speak for everyone here when I say, huh?
Chosen to fight.
I'm Buffy, and you're history.
Trained to maim.
You're the Slayer, and we're like the Slayerettes.
Dressed to kill.
There's something bad out there. We'll find. You'll slay. We'll party.
She's Buffy. And no demon.
Don't worry, I don't bite.
No vampire. No creature from hell
What is your childhood trauma?
can stop her.
Buffy!
Hello, my name is Michael Morley, and I am here to talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 1 review. It all started with Buffy the Vampire Slayer with a man named Joss Whedon, who you might know who has written and directed some of the biggest movies that you've probably heard of. He helped write the Pixar movie Toy Story. He directed The Avengers. He also directed Age of Ultron. Other than that, he also wrote a series called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was one of the biggest teen, young adult, entertaining little, like, it wasn't like the biggest horror movie, but it was like the horror event of the late 90s and the early 2000s. This was the show that everyone wanted to watch. If you were a vampire, demon, if it had anything that had any horror genre in it, this was the series to watch. It was so big in my time as a kid. It was one of the first things I ever watched was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And what was funny is that we had never seen anything like this before. And what I mean we've never seen anything like this is that we are so used to seeing women like Buffy, a beautiful blonde who wears high heels and wears very, very good-looking clothes and outfits that she wears. Usually these are the type that run and would be screaming for the hills, the damsel in distress. But no, Joss Whedon really broke the rules, and that's what made this so original by making Buffy the hero of the show. And it's not the most easiest thing to do is to accomplish something like that, because we are so used to seeing women like Buffy be the damsel in distress. We are not used to seeing her be the hero. It's such a, that's what made this show so special. Like, it was one of the first times we had seen a female character be the main strong character, like an Ellen Ripley from Alien, or from like a Sarah Connor from Terminator, or a Xena warrior princess. It was like that. We were getting, and it worked. Like, it wasn't, it's not like she was perfect. She had insecurities. She was only like a young teenager, about 16 years old. And she made mistakes. I mean, there's a lot of things in this show that you relate to. And there's a lot of things about the choices that she makes. It's like she knows she's very good at what she does, but she's also a human being. And it's so relatable. The show isn't just about, monsters and vampires. It's also about life, growing up and making life choices and all that sort of stuff. And that's what makes it so interesting. It feels like, even though it's all made believe, it feels real. You know what I'm saying? It's weird.
So how do you know where the master's going?
Oh, no. Oh, look, a bad guy.
Even though this first season only had 12 episodes, it was probably, in my opinion, one of the strongest seasons of Buffy. I think the high school years were the best. And the first few episodes, the Welcome to the Harvest, Part 1 and Part 2, is the best introduction to this series. I love how we meet Buffy and how she has these dreams about vampires coming into Sunnydale and possibly taking over. And And then you got the episode with the witch, and then which is a great episode. Then you got the teacher's pet with Xander, and then you've got the don't date a boy on the first date, or don't kill a boy on the first date. That was a great episode. Then you got the pack where Xander turns into a hyena, and these are such original, cool ideas. And probably my favorite episode is the Angel episode, episode 7, where we find out who he is and what he's about. And this was the first time in television history that we had a reason why she falls in love with a vampire, other than Dracula, who would do stuff with their mind and trick them into falling for them. This was a genuine attraction. It wasn't like a forced attraction. It was a genuine one, and you believed it, and you understood why she liked him, and why she couldn't be with him. And this is why it makes it so relatable, because we always want what we can't have. We're always after the unattainable, and that's, the more unattainable, the more attractive. And the fact that he's a vampire makes probably Buffy want him. She probably wants him even more because of that. And then you got the next episodes, I Robot Jane, where Willow talks to a demon on the computer, and he then comes to life as a robot. And then you got the 9th episode, which is probably my favorite. One of my favorite in the season is the puppet episode. I absolutely love that episode. And then you got the 10th episode, which is the one about, I think it's about the dreams, where the boy is in a coma, and all these dreams that are going on in his mind are actually happening in Sunnydale, and Buffy and Xander and Willow are all going through nightmares that this boy is experiencing. And then you got episode 11, which is probably the one that I found the most wacky, which was the ghost episode, where the girl who was kind of a loner, she was trying to get noticed and get accepted in Sunnydale, but she was always being ignored, and they wouldn't talk to her or pretend that she didn't exist. And because of this, she turns into a ghost. So she starts going around bashing people. I found that a little bit ridiculous. And then you got the 12th episode, which was the Prophecy Girl, which is where she finally faces the Master, and then we get to see what Buffy is made of. And I loved how she actually, the whole prophecy was that she was meant to go in there where the Master has been trapped this whole time, and he was actually never meant to go out and fight her. She was meant to go in there for him to kill her so he could leave the lair that he's stuck in. And she ends up dying, but then she comes back, and she actually becomes more powerful by being bitten by the Master. It's like her powers have been enhanced. And overall, this whole series is probably an iconic event. 12 episodes is to me enough. I don't, there are certain shows nowadays, it's actually more common to have 10 episodes, 12 episodes. Back in the 90s, it was more common to have episodes that would go from 20 to 30 episodes, and holy crap, that's a lot to sit through. But when it's something like Buffy, it's an exception. Overall, this is probably one of the strongest seasons of Buffy. It's a great introduction to the character, and it makes you more curious about where it leads to season 2. And overall, because there were certain things that they couldn't shoot, there were money restraints, budget restraints, it did bring down the quality a little bit, in my opinion. But overall, it's pretty near perfect. 9 out of 10. This is a great time. Brings back so much nostalgia. If you've never heard of Buffy and you're into shows about, everything that you could think of in the horror genre, vampires, demons, werewolves, this is the show for you. Give it a go.